Taking a look at the papers, the Daily Mail reports the billions that the government wasted on PPE. Also making the front pages more party revelations. Prime Minister has promised to overhaul Number 10, which of course is his home and his place of work. But how much power, a lot of people are asking this, does his wife, Carrie Johnson, hold within Downing Street? Join me now, someone who knows firsthand about the whole culture of Number 10. She was married, of course, to Cabinet Minister Michael Gove, Daily Mail columnist Sarah Vine, and alongside her, editor of The Mirror, Alison Phillips, whose paper has been leading the coverage of so-called Partygate, I guess. Really interesting, Sarah, your column today, because you do focus on Carrie Johnson. Obviously, it's an unelected position, of course it is, but she does wield a lot of influence, but that might change.
It might change. I mean, I think Carrie's had a tough time. I think this nickname Carrie Antoinette is quite misogynistic and quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
From my own experience, you know, 99% of the things that are said about her will not be true. They'll just be people gossiping and people briefing against her. Right. But what Number 10 doesn't like is it doesn't like alternative sources of power. So that's the problem. Right. And so with Boris, you know, there will be lots of people who are jealous of her influence over him. Dominic Cummings obviously being the most obvious one.
Well, indeed. I mean, he says it was her that got her, you know, that got him booted out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a sort of lover's tiff, really, isn't it? It's like a sort of triangle, and there's, you know, there are winners and losers. You know, it's difficult once. It's hard for Carrie because, you know, she is his wife, and he obviously can't say no to her, and they've got 2 little children, and she wants to have a certain life, but he is the Prime Minister, and he does have to take things really seriously now.
She's unelected.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. And the thing is that after all this party stuff, he's really got to knuckle down now and show the world that he is a proper serious person. And you know, he's brought back Linton Crosby, who...
This is the fellow you call a human hangover. I know you were referring to parties and booze and all that.
He is quite a scary man.
Right.
And, you know, he does sort of slightly make Malcolm Tucker look like a, you know, little pussycat.
From the thick of it, seriously?
He's brilliant at what he does. Absolutely brilliant at what he does. But, you know, he calls it as he sees it. And so, you know, but he was the guy who got Boris elected in London.
Right.
You know, he ran the campaigns. So...
when he was mayor?
When he was mayor, yes. So I think, you know, that for me signals that Boris is actually, you know, really serious now about trying to rescue his premiership.
He has to. I don't think he's got a choice. Yeah. He has to do that. It's really interesting. Alison, I wonder what you think, this whole sort of, you know, Carrie Antoinette, it would be very easy for Boris Johnson to say, oh, it wasn't me, you know, she influenced me too much, or people round about him to brief against her. It's kind of the easy thing to do, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, I think I agree with Sarah, really, and I think quite often throughout history there's this idea that there's the woman who's machinating behind the scenes, and, you know, you say that she's the most powerful Prime Minister's wife in history, but people used to say very similar things about Sherry Blair not so long ago. And so it's a bit of a default position to blame the person closest to the Prime Minister. And again, as Sarah said, there was this sort of massive conflict between her and Dominic Cummings. And I think that's why, at the heart of it, you need a strong leader. I thought it was funny that Sarah said, obviously, Boris has got to say yes to his young wife. I mean, I think Sarah's relationship is supposed to be slightly different to mine, in that my husband doesn't say yes to everything I suggest by any means. And if she was saying, oh, let's have a party up at our flat, why on earth, as the elected Prime Minister, was he saying, no, that's not acceptable, that's not within the rules, that's not what we're going to do? So it's very easy to blame the woman. He's the one that's elected by the public, by us. He's the one that's responsible to all those families that were losing loved ones during the pandemic and couldn't see them. And he is the one who lives off the money that we pay, taxpayers' money. So, and I think the final thing I'd say about that is that we know throughout his life and throughout his political history, he gets away by blaming other people. Just as if through this, it would appear that he's trying to blame the advisors, he's trying to blame the people around him. And what do you know? Suddenly, we're blaming his wife. And I really hope for his new wife with 2 young children, she's not going to become the fall guy in, whether consciously or subconsciously by the Prime Minister, that's what he's doing to her.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, looking at the culture of Downing Street, because you know, Sarah, you have been there, you've seen it. Yeah. I remember you wrote something about the fact that from the outside looking into us now, it looks like they were basically spending loads of money, getting drunk as monkeys, eating Colin the Caterpillar cakes, and that was that, you know. But as you said, they were actually working hard.
Yeah, I mean...
But that's not the perception we've got.
No, absolutely. And I think that people are absolutely right to be furious about this, genuinely. I do think they're right to be furious about it, because there are lots of people who made huge sacrifices in their personal lives during the pandemic to respect the rules. I mean, my feeling is the rules were actually stupid and quite complicated and in many cases just very cruel. But that's setting that aside. If you're going to make these rules and if you're going to make the country do this stuff, you have to be unimpeachable. And I'm afraid that doesn't appear to be the case. And I just don't think you can pass the blame for that on anybody else. These are your rules if you don't follow them yourself. I mean, I suppose if you were trying to be devil's advocate, if you were trying to argue the opposite case, you might say that all the people in Downing Street were working hugger-mugger the whole time, you know, on the pandemic. So what's the difference between sitting around a table having a cup of tea and sitting around a table having a glass of wine? And I think the answer to that is it's perception. It's, you know, work is work, and then, you know, drinking and having fun is another thing. And I think that, you know, they're still on a sticky wicket with this, unfortunately.
Oh, he's definitely not out of the woods. I mean, Alison, do you think he's going to survive? Do you think he can survive this?
I think he might survive it for the short term. We've still got a lot of key points coming up. I mean, the cost of living crisis is really going to start hitting people very shortly. And that's when the question whether enough is being done to help people through their energy bills and all the other food bills. And then on top of that, we've got the May elections. So he might get through it in the short term. But the thing that I just keep coming back to is that I think the country deserves better. We deserve to be told the truth. Any good relationship is based on truth. Any bad relationship in life is based on lies, and we've been lied to. And I think until we get to such a point that there is a reset and a reorder, it's going to be very hard to move forward.
Alison, thank you very much indeed. And it's interesting that he's called in this Sir Linton because it looks like he's going to be his nanny. It's like he needs a nanny.
Well, I mean,
do you know what I mean?
What he will be is his enforcer.
Yeah.
So Boris, so like all prime ministers, you come in and it's all a bit fun and lovely and everything, and then it gets serious, and it's just got serious for Boris.
Yeah.
And so he needs to do some difficult stuff, and Linton will do that. That's what Linton did for David Cameron. And that's what he does. He's a very good enforcer. And so Boris can, you know, he can wield the axe, but he can be a little bit separate from that process.
Because he doesn't like that. He doesn't like confrontation.
No, he doesn't. And
like
this is the problem, is that if you're Prime Minister,
Yeah.
you have to accept that you've got to be confrontational
Of course you do.
sometimes.
Of course you do. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much indeed. And thanks to Alison as well.
Don't forget, you can watch full episodes of Lorraine on the ITV Hub and all the best clips, compilations and playlists right here on our channel. Just subscribe now and you'll never miss an upload. Click here to watch another video similar to this one, or click here to head to our channel's homepage to explore all of our exciting videos.